Have you ever really stopped to think about what you're made of? I mean, we look in the mirror and see one solid person. But what if I told you that you're not solid at all? What if you're actually a bustling, invisible city built from trillions of tiny, living pieces of architecture? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore. Let's take a tour.
So let me ask you straight up. Are you a single being? When you look at yourself, do you see one person, one unified thing looking back? It seems like a simple enough question, right? But the answer? Well, the answer is one of the most incredible facts in all of biology.
Because here's the twist. You're not a single being, not even close. You are a walking, talking micrometropolis, a city made of trillions of individual living units, all working together in perfect, mind-boggling harmony. And this isn't just about us. This is the fundamental truth for every living thing, from a giant redwood tree to the smallest insect. Okay, so to understand this metropolis inside of us, we have to start small. We need to zoom way in on a single citizen of this city, on what scientists call the basic unit of life.
And that, of course, is the cell. It's the absolute ground floor. It's the fundamental piece where everything we consider life, growing, breathing, making more of itself, actually happens. If you want to understand any living thing, you have to start right here, with its smallest, most essential building block.
Now, every city has its laws, right? A charter that defines how it all works. And this city inside of us is no different. So let's take a quick look at how we even discovered this city charter, the fundamental rules that govern every single cell on this planet.
The story really kicks off in 1665. A guy named Robert Hooke was looking at a thin slice of cork under a microscope and saw these small box-like structures. Now, he was just looking at dead cell walls, but he's the one who coined the name cells. A little later, Anton von Leeuwenhoek actually saw these little boxes alive and moving around for the first time. And all this incredible work eventually led to the 1800s, when cell theory was finally put together. And this whole brilliant theory boils down to a super simple mnemonic: ABA. First, every living thing is made of cells. Easy enough. Second, the cell is the basic unit of life. We just covered that. And third, and this was the real game changer, all cells arise from other cells. They don't just pop out of nowhere. These three laws, they are the absolute bedrock of modern biology. So while all these cellular cities follow the same basic laws, nature uses two totally different architectural blueprints depending on what the city is supposed to do. Think of it this way. Are you building a stationary tower that needs to reach for the sky, or a flexible mover that needs to get around? And here are those two blueprints in all their glory. On the left, you've got the plant cell, our rigid tower. And on the right, the animal cell, our flexible mover. Now, forget all the tiny labels for a second. Just look at the overall shape. See how the plant cell is kind of blocky and sturdy, almost rectangular? And the animal cell is rounder, softer, more adaptable. That single difference in shape is the key to, well, everything. This chart really breaks it down. Check out the external boundary. Plants get that super tough, rigid cell wall for support. Animals, on the other hand, get a flexible membrane so they can move. For energy, plants make your own food with chloroplasts, while animals have to go find theirs. But here's the one I want you to really focus on. Plants have a single, massive water vacuole. I know, it doesn't sound very exciting, but trust me, it's their secret weapon.
And this is why it's so cool. It creates something called turgor pressure. That giant vacuole basically inflates with water, pushing outwards against that strong cell wall. It's like blowing up an inner tube inside a tire. That internal pressure is literally what allows a plant to stand up straight and tall without having a single bone in its body. It is an absolute masterstroke of natural engineering.
Okay, so we've admired the architecture from the outside. Now it's time to go inside. Let's take a tour of the micrometropolis and meet the specialized machinery, the organelles, that keep this whole city humming 24/7.
And don't worry about getting lost. You won't need a map. We've got another handy mnemonic to guide us through the city's most important departments. Just remember, my nice room eats green leafy vegetables. So, let's start our tour.
First up is the M in mitochondria. You've probably heard this one before. It's the powerhouse of the cell. Think of these as the power plant of the city. Every single thing the cell does requires energy, and it's all generated right here. If the mitochondria shut down, the entire city goes dark. Next, we have N for nice, and that's the nucleus. This is City Hall, no question. It's the command center. It holds all the genetic blueprints, the DNA, and it sends out all the orders for everything the cell needs to do. It's the boss.
All right, next we hit the city's industrial district with the R, E, and G. Think of it like a factory assembly line. You've got the ribosomes, they're the factory workers actually building things. Then the endoplasmic reticulum is the conveyor belt system moving those new products around. And finally, the Golgi apparatus is the shipping department, packing everything up and sending it where it needs to go. It's a perfectly oiled machine.
And finally, you've got the city's essential services. The L is for lysosomes. This is the sanitation department. They break down waste and keep the city clean, preventing any toxic junk from building up. And the V is for vacuoles, which are basically the city's warehouses. They're used for storage and also help the cell hold its shape. See? Every single part has a job, and every job is vital.
So a city can't just operate day to day. It has to grow, it has to repair itself, it has to plan for the future. So how does our little metropolis expand and make more of itself? Well, let's dive into the two incredible strategies the city uses for cell division.
Nature basically has two different playbooks here. On one hand, you've got mitosis. That's the stability strategy. Its whole purpose is to make perfect identical copies for growth and repair. On the other hand, you have meiosis, which is the variation strategy. Its job is to mix things up to create genetic diversity for reproduction.
The main thing to remember about mitosis is that it's all about cloning. It's a four-step dance you can remember as PM8. That's prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And when the dance is over, you get two daughter cells that are perfect carbon copies of the original, exactly the same.
Meiosis, though, it has a totally different mission. I like to call it the make and mix mandate. Its job is to make gametes, that's sperm and egg cells, and while it's doing that, it shuffles the genetic deck. The result is 4 unique daughter cells, and here's the key part. They each have only half the normal number of chromosomes. This mixing is what drives evolution.
So let's make this super simple. Here's the so what. Mitosis is the process that heals your scraped knee. It's making new, identical skin cells to patch the hole. Meiosis is the reason that, unless you have an identical twin, there is no one else on Earth exactly like you. One creates stability, the other creates variation.
And that brings us right back to where we began. You're not just a person living in the world, you are a world, a living, breathing architecture of trillions. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What does it mean for your own identity, for who you are, to know that you're not just one thing, but a perfect, harmonious collaboration of trillions of individual lives?